Hello, everybody. It is the Southern Jack today, and giving you a bit of break from Mr. Chew's voice, because we all know he loves to chat. And I am delighted to be joined by Michael, who I'm going to bring in here, who I just have seen quaffing his hair, so he looks appropriate.
Yeah, it's been a rough day already.
Well, we can talk about why that might have been a rough day. Hopefully it's not been a rough day for Therapy Live reasons, but we can get into that. We've wanted to come on today and talk a bit about Therapy Live, obviously, and it is only 2 weeks ago. In fact, sub 2 weeks ago. Now in 2 weeks' time, it will be the lunch break, and the two of us will probably be semi-comatose by that point, making sure everything's working, and hopefully it will go nice and smoothly. So the idea is we're going to talk a little bit about how the show's going to work from a user point of view, from a technical point of view, what kind of things people can find on the site, the Therapy Live site, how the mechanics of moving around will be, and all those fun things. I'm just going to remove this this graphic because it's entirely covering my face. There we go. Here I am. There's no fun. And we've got some people tuning in. Hopefully everybody can hear us. Give us some thumbs up if you can. Alistair Beverley, who I'm super looking forward to him talking, is bigging up his stream of public health already. And there's been some infighting around different streams and where people should go.
He's definitely spamming us, isn't he? He's
definitely.
Us. Last night on the live, now today. He's getting a reputation.
You can never get too much Alistair Beverley, that's my opinion. So Joe Turner says she can hear us, so that's all good. Delighted to have Joe on board. Joe's speaking 3 times, 2 panels and a keynote speech. So there certainly won't be too much Joe on the show either. And we've got Liz as well joining us, who's presenting on dancing as well, which will be good. So Michael, tell us a little bit about. Let's start with last year, because I think it's important for us to understand what happened last year so that we can explain the changes that we've made for this year. We've had some smaller shows as well, but the big mechanics of 100 talks, we've learned a lot of lessons, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, last year was an interesting one. It all started, actually, I don't know if everyone knows this, but it all started with a sort of chance meeting with me and Jack. We'd already, as a company, been working with Jack on marketing, on the clinic and on MSKR and so on. And we thought, wouldn't it be good to do a live show? And originally, we were looking at 1,000 people because we thought, oh my God, that's a big number, 1,000. And it quickly became apparent. I think within about 10 days, we had 5,000 people registered. And then it just grew and grew and grew. And, you know, in the end, I think we got 22,000, and I believe 25 or 6,000 turned up on the day. So it was incredible. And obviously all down to my marketing. And, it was a moment in time. It was insanely good. The problem was that it's easy enough to deal with 1,000 people-ish. It's not so easy to deal with 20,000 plus people, especially if something were to go wrong. Take Glastonbury the other day. And I think that, you know, we learned a lot of lessons from that. To be fair to us, we did the entire thing, I think, in about 10 or 11 weeks. And there were lots of sleepless nights and lots of problems and so on. So in terms of what went wrong, everyone crashed the bloody server. So it went down, and by about 10 o'clock, I had Chew on the phone telling me his career was over, and I was drinking the whiskies, hoping that we could get it back up. And can Adam redo his talk, because we had about 10,000 emails. I think we had somewhere around 20,000 emails telling us they couldn't get in, which we were aware of. But yeah, we learned our lessons. And one of the issues that we had was relying on a third party. We decided that from now on, and from that show, we would do it all ourselves, or the majority of it ourselves. And even now we've got away from Eventbrite as well, because that wasn't particularly ideal either. So over time, we've built out solutions so that we were in charge and we were in control. So we didn't have to wait on another third party to fix things or have to worry about things too much. So now it's I guess, Flick, you, me, Jack, my team, and making sure it all works. So if it goes wrong this year, you probably can blame me. Well, blame
I think if you've gone from being stressed about a third party breaking something to being stressed about me breaking it, at least I suppose I'm easier to get hold of.
Well, you are easier to get hold of, and yeah, the third party were actually partly in China and America, so there was no one even around on the day. So we had to sit there ourselves from my house trying to fix it all, which was not a lot of fun. And then I had to talk to do it like 12 o'clock or something, and I was just out of it. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't, so it was a really interesting experience. And since then we've had 2 shows which have been really good, really simple. We tried to simplify everything, and that's one of my things is everything should be simple. There's no reason to overcomplicate things. So we've got a solid platform now, I hope. I don't hope. We've done it before, so it's going to be interesting. And now hopefully it's all about the talk rather than and the show rather than making sure it's available and accessible.
For sure. I mean, from a purely egotistical point of view, I suppose, or a numbers point of view, we didn't half get some reach because of people saying they couldn't get in on social media. And actually having, with hindsight, if you look at it from a purely marketing point of view or a social media point of view, nothing we've ever done's reached so many people, because we had such a backlash, and actually because you guys were able to fix it so fast, that then the outpouring of appreciation that we fixed it was really good as well. So people did understand. They realized that there were a lot of things worked in our favor. It was free at the point of access, and some other things which we got away with.
But on that, I mean, so last night Adam Meekins made a good point, I think, on the show, on the live, that he was just impressed that we fixed it. We managed to fix it, and that was the most important thing. And we did, in the end, by the end of the day, I think trend 6th on Twitter in the UK for TherapyLive. It wasn't all good though. There, admittedly, there are quite still, I think, a lot of people that were incredibly angry with us that it did go down. And we fielded a lot of messages and from people that said, I know it's free, but I'm really upset. And I can understand it if you've reserved the time. But we were up in a couple of hours, and we did respond to every last email, actually, and every message. And I think the majority of people were incredibly grateful and happy by the end of the day, because, again, it was just the first time that anyone had done it. And even to this day, even we called them the small... We called them the shows. It's probably Chew on the door. We call them small shows, and those small shows are still bigger than pretty much, I think, anybody else is doing.
Yeah, so I don't know any. I mean, we had 5,000 at each of those small shows, and I'm happy to be corrected if someone knows of other shows that have had 5,000 attendees, and we get that many on the day as well. It's not 5,000 signups, it's 5,000 attendees. So happy to be corrected on that. So yeah, let's move away from some of the slightly negatives, because in some ways it was good that it happened to us, because it pushed us into developing the infrastructure to make life easier for everybody. And I think what you've built now on the therapy-live.co.uk website, if anybody wants to go there and have a look around, is really cool, because the third-party stuff that we used was okay, but it wasn't that easy to navigate. And we had a lot of people were saying, some of the feedback we got was like, oh, it's great, but everything's too fast. You can't find the next talk that you want to go to quickly enough, and you miss the first few minutes and all that kind of thing. Whereas you've built the TherapyLive website, and the whole agenda's there in one place. It opens in new tabs, so you don't lose your place on the agenda. And I personally, and I think we've had feedback to the same, I think it makes it much smoother as an outcome for that.
We're actually refining it this year as well. So we're taking away some of the things that did still cause confusion. We had a join stream at the top, but because they're all individual webinars, people were clicking on that join stream and saying it had ended. So we're still refining, and I think that's always important, just to continually refine little things. So we've refined things, and hopefully this year it's about as usable as we can get it. But it will be simple. The lobby, by the way, will be up, I think, by Monday. The agenda is out today, and even when it comes to things like the agenda, so you'll see the agenda. On that, we've got all of the links to the individual shows as well. So you can actually access the entire thing from just the agenda without having to even go to the site and into the lobby, although go to the lobby because there's loads of cool stuff in there. But yeah, so we've tried to make everything as simple and accessible as possible.
Yeah, perfect. And I think it is quite fast paced. Someone put on Twitter, I shared it with you last night, about that TherapyLive is amazing but intense. And I think that is it is true. And I think some prep is a good thing. And as you said, I was thinking last night, actually, with you're mentioning the agenda, and what we mean is there's a PDF download that people can get, so you can have the PDF open if you wish, and use that to plan the day. And I think what you could very easily do would be open the tabs that you want of the webinars you want to attend before the day even starts. In fact, you could open, if you wanted to today. They all work now. And it has countdown timers and stuff, if that's what people want to do, so that they can make things smoother, so they can just click through the tabs. But as you said, that on the actual site, there's some really cool stuff as well, with all the speaker bios and all that kind of thing. So yeah, really happy with all of it at the moment.
And also it's probably worth mentioning the whole Physio Matters. I don't know if you're going to get onto that.
Yeah, go for it. What's that?
Yeah, so we what we found is that with the amount of talks that we have, well, actually, let's go back one step. When we first came up with the idea, it was wonderful, 1,000 people, not a problem. When you've got 20,000 people attending shows, it becomes incredibly expensive to do, and we don't take on sponsors that we don't like, and the ones we don't like are normally the ones who pay lots of money. So it means that we have to find a way of running the show and making it free, or free to as many people as possible. And one way was to allow people to download the content, particularly when you've got 100-something talks on. You can't possibly see them all and watch them all. So what we've done what we did before was make the content downloadable afterwards and purchasable for £50 for 100. I can't remember what the price was. Jack mentioned it last night. Was it 7p a show or something?
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, cheap.
7p a talk or something, which is insanely cheap. But we need to do that to be able to make the thing run. And so we thought we'd up the game a little bit and create a platform within Physio Matters and within the Physio Matters brand, and create a platform and a membership community where people could go in, become a member, support us, have access to either individual shows. So if you wanted just to check out the Pelvic Live show, you can do that, but also then have the opportunity to go ahead and become a member and get access to everything, and all shows and all content, which is actually, it makes a lot of sense from, I guess, a clinical perspective, because yes, we've got a big pelvic health show, but Elaine Miller and Emma Brockwell, they're all on the other shows as well, because there are always streams that are particular to those areas. So that's what we've done with Physio Matters, and that's a brand new product, and we built that in about 5 or 6 weeks, and still got a few teething problems, but hopefully everyone's finding it working quite well. And that's the way that we now use that content to essentially pay for the show and let us continue with the show. And then in the future, who knows? I think Jack made that announcement last night about maybe going live and doing the live show at some point. And so I think for us, a lot of this is about innovation, and it's doing new things and trying new things, and that's what really excites me. From a technical perspective, actually, it's great. And what can we do, and how can we bring the content and other things? I can't mention some of the other things that we are doing. We've got some crazy things that are coming up, and all of it, I think, is going to be fantastic and innovative and different, and that's what's super exciting about, and it all started with it started with the podcast, and then the event, and then it's gone on from there.
Yeah, and I think you were saying about the the content being, I think it's 50p a show. If you buy it now for this content for June, it's 50p for each talk, and that's 100 talks. So more than you, like, tons and tons and tons. If you become a member, then it's currently only £95, and you get the previous 3 shows. So I think if I do the maths, that gets it down to about 12p.
Okay.
And then it also includes, we've got 2 more shows to come this year.
We've got 2 more shows, and there's other stuff coming on.
There's more stuff coming. I think, I mean, we're biased. I think it's probably the best £95 that anybody could spend on their CPD.
I don't want to make this a sales thing. It's not. That's not what this is about.
No,
but, let's take another show that was often live and this is something we discussed actually initially, which was, you look at those other shows, the ones at the NEC or in the Excel, it costs you £100 to get in, 150, whatever the price is, and then there's the cost of travel and everything else, and so in terms of pure value, even if you don't buy it, it's not the end of the world. We'd like you to, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world. You get incredible value. You don't have to leave your home. You don't have to do anything. You've got everything there, and you can watch it. And that was very much Jack Chew's kind of brainchild. He that's very much Jack as a clinician, which is bringing education to the masses, and it's about the content, it's about the product. From my side, it was about how do we pay for the bloody thing, and make sure that we can put it on. So and that's kind of where Physio Matters has come out of, the new Physio Matters platform. But yeah, it's ridiculously cheap. So do go buy it, although we're not making you.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, where we tried to keep it free at the point of access for the day, because we don't want to have too many barriers to people being able to attend these CPDs. The speaker quality is mental. They're so good. And like you said, as soon as you've got to pay out, you basically limit the students. And some other places are like, well, if you volunteer for half a day, then you can come for free as a student, and then you can only watch however many talks. And we didn't want that, but like you said, it costs us a good chunk of money, as well as
particularly last year. There were, we work at HMDG, we work with a lot of clinics. People were struggling, and people could pay fantastic, but we didn't want, especially at that point, to put any barriers in place whatsoever. And I won't say what the losses were, but we weren't millionaires at the end of that show. Which we were, but it wasn't about the money. It really wasn't, and it was about giving that content. And I'm really proud of that, and I'm really proud to have been involved and still be involved, but to have been involved with that. And again, yes, there's the students and so on, but those people, there are some people that are not, business isn't quite back to normal, and there are some people that still can't afford it or don't have the opportunity to pay. So and that goes for some foreign countries as well, because we do get some traction in certain countries, Kenya, because of one of our speakers, for example. So and those people are not going to be able to pay the £50 or the £100.
Yeah, for sure. So finally, we've got just another 10 minutes or so. You mentioned a couple of cool things on the site. Let's direct people. So you said we do work with some sponsors, and we've got some cool new features this time round, which we're going to try out, which will give, from having the sponsor meetings recently, even more content that's going to be available. So we can do things like we can integrate. They're going to have their own sort of booths almost to do some extra content. So tell us about the new stuff that we've got as well, because that is
the new stuff that we're building. Yeah. Actually, let's go back to that first show, which was the booths, and we found that the booths were awful. Well, not for everyone. You in particular did incredibly well on the rheumatology side.
I wasn't there. I couldn't get in because I was fixing everything.
Yeah, this is true. But we wanted to make the sponsors, because we're really, all of the sponsors are definitely friends of ours and partners, and we value them highly in terms of what they bring. Joe's there, and she's does an incredible job. And this year we've got Elevate on, Elevate Clinic with Andy Hosgood, who I love, and I think Andy's and seem brilliant. And so we want to support them. Yes, they help support us and help us to put it on, but it's, again, not so much about the money. Just as we don't charge enough for that, it's really about bringing the best into the marketplace. And so what we wanted to do was give them an opportunity, rather than just a landing page, do a few new cool things, and make it a little bit more bespoke. So I just saw a text have to do with something to do with Joe in a second. But yes, you'll be able to have a Zoom call with them. You'll be able to maybe book appointments, get a bit more information, and so on and so forth. So it's again, not making anything complex. We're not building out virtual exhibitions and stuff. It's what is it that you need, and what can you get quickly as well, because the last thing you want to do is spend 3 hours wading through stuff because you've got the show to go and watch. But yeah, so there'll be quite a few new little bits on the sponsor side and ways of getting in touch with them.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously super excited. I think we'll look a lot more tired than we currently do by 2 weeks' time. There's still a hell of a lot to do.
Well, one other innovation, we're doing some work on the mobile side as well. So we found that at the smaller shows, at least, about 65% of people are viewing the site on mobile. And so we needed to make a few optimizations. It actually still looks fantastic. The lobby and it all looks great. But there are a few quirks, so we're redoing a bit of the mobile side, making it a bit more usable as well. So that should help. And then on top of that, there's been some speed increase. I mean, it's all technical, boring stuff, but there's lots of stuff still to do. Final sort of finishing touches, and first thing is get the agenda out. I need to go and get that out, because it is an absolute monster. You look at that and just think, I don't know how you guys. So I'm not at all involved with the agenda. That's the two Jacks, and how you guys put that together. Second year in a row as well. I mean, it's just in sensational. It's really good. And when you see that all side by side.
I mean, I've been. We were live last night. Jack made a joke about me fiddling around with spreadsheets, and I have that agenda. When you download the agenda, you'll see it as a PDF, and you can imagine what that looks like as my spreadsheet, where I'm trying to fit people in, and people speaking multiple times so they don't clash. And that's been my life for weeks now, trying to sort that out, and it is absolutely mad. And we couldn't do it without the speakers being agreeable and joining us and putting themselves forward to talk about all these things. And they really do, they're great. Every single one. We don't have, Chew said last night, there's not one person that's a filler, and they're all brilliant and they're all helpful. It's
yeah, genius. And it is about the speakers as well. We couldn't do it without them, and I'm just amazed at how amazing they've been with working with us, and I'm just impressed that you guys have got them, and then that they are so keen to be involved with us, because they could be doing tons of paid work somewhere, or having the weekend off or whatever. But I'm so impressed with it, and hopefully everyone's impressed once you see the agenda. We'll put it out in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah. So where will that be? Therapy-live.co.uk.
We'll stick it out on socials. Okay. So you'll find it on, I guess, Physio Matters Twitter, Therapy Live, Instagram, Facebook. We'll put it across all socials. We'll also probably run some ads with it in as well, just to make sure we get everybody. Oh, and we'll also run an engagement campaign, if anyone knows what that is, against all attendees. So you should all be seeing it come up in your feeds. And then we will be pushing out an email as well. So you'll get to see the agenda.
And it is a beast. Yeah. I was just trying to look at it on my phone. It's probably the best thing to load up on your computer, because otherwise you are scrolling around on it. It is a beast. And I'm looking forward to people being struggling with the choices they're going to have to make about who they see at what time. That's one of my favorite bits.
Me too. Last year we had we had thousands of Instagram stories just saying, I can't choose between Joe Gibson and Adam Meekins. I don't know if they're on at the same time this year, actually, but
I do know who's on at what time. I always think it's difficult for me to pick who's going to clash, because we have them in streams. So it's not like you've got 3 or 4 spine talks on at the same time, because you've also got the spinal stream. But Alistair mentioned about public health, and sometimes you get a real meaty public health topic against a really meaty joint specific topic, and then that can cause some clashes. So it's hard for me to actually pick out who is going to clash, and I don't, you know, I don't make the agenda intentionally for clashes. It's just that everybody is that good. Everyone's I don't have to. They do clash.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to everyone coming out, because you can see everyone putting in their diaries certain times and so on. So I love that. That'd be great to see.
Excellent, brilliant. So thank you everybody who has joined me and Michael live for this lunchtime thing. I'm going to let him get on and get this agenda out to you all. And if for some unknown weird reason you don't have a ticket for therapy-live.co.uk on June the 11th, go and get them. They are free. You're not going to miss out from anything for getting one. And yeah, if you want to join us as a member and get all that content as well, then shameless plug, physio-matters.com, but you can get the membership through the Therapy Live site as well. So either of those, you'll find that. So you get the recordings just from the day, or you can get the old recordings, or you can get the whole lot as a membership. And we'll be delighted to have you on board as members. I think we're on about 1,400 members on site, aren't we? And more. And that includes all of the speakers as well. They're all on there, so you can ask questions on there. There's a message board you can ask, and you can tag a speaker in if you want to ask them a question about their talks and that kind of thing. So loads of stuff. And as Michael says, we have got more ideas than we have minutes in a day. So it's going to increase, and I think it's probably going to be some really exciting times over the next few months.
Yeah, especially with that new platform and some of the stuff we're planning with it. And I don't know what the exact number is, but I know in the last 6 weeks we've got 800 something. So new. Oh
gosh, right. Okay, it's probably more than I thought then. Yeah, probably more than I thought. So yeah, plenty of people on there. So join that community, and we'd be delighted to see you there. So we will be, probably the next time you hear from me and Michael will be on Therapy Live itself, and we will be maybe a little bit stressed, but hopefully not too much. And you'll all be enjoying yourselves on watching the content. And Mr. Chew will be back on Chewing It Over next week, so you can have some more of his voice. And Michael and I will be, well, I'm back to building the webinars actually, or finishing them off. So and
we're doing plenty on the site and everything as well.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks for joining me, Michael, and hope everybody has a good rest of the day.
Good stuff. Thanks, Jake.
Oh, and cover your ears for the outro music because it's really loud.